A cold day and tomato soup are a match made in heaven. Roasting fresh tomatoes in the oven and adding some pasta is just part of my secret recipe. After you learn to make my roasted tomato and pasta soup, you'll never open a can again. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Celebrate TV. I'm your host, Peter Lee. On this channel, we teach you all about celebrating. We share recipes for food, hors d'oeuvres, cocktails, and we share entertaining tips too. Now we try and keep it all as simple as possible, especially for those of you out there who say that you just can't cook or entertain, because we know that you really can. So if you like this episode, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you'll get a new episode every single week. Today, our celebration is all about soup. It's cold outside here in New Jersey. It's snowing, so we're going to make a roasted tomato and pasta soup. So let's get started. I have here a big tray of roasted vegetables. I've got some plum tomatoes, some onions, some peppers, and garlic. Now, how did I get here? It was easy. All I did was I cut them all in half. I cut the onions in quarters, drizzled them with some olive oil, salt and pepper, and put the whole tray of them right in the oven at 375 degrees. And I let them roast for 30 minutes. I took them out, flipped them all over, put them back in the oven for another 15 minutes, giving us 45 minutes of roast time. Now here they are, they're all nice and cooled, and they're ready to make soup. Now you will notice I have peppers, and you're probably wondering, if it's tomato soup, why peppers? They're going to add a little extra sweetness and depth of flavor. Now I roasted these in the oven. If you wanted to go a little farther and you have a gas stove, you could roast these right on your gas burner, roast them whole until they're charred, put them in a bowl covered with plastic, and then after a few minutes the skin will peel right off, and it just adds another layer of flavor, or just in the oven is fine. Now these are all going to go right in my food processor, and that's the easiest part. Skins and everything. Now the garlics, I didn't even bother to peel. I just pulled them right off the head, right in. So these are all going to go in just like this. And this is just such a wonderful, easy recipe. All right. Actually, I think this is probably the hardest part of this recipe, putting all these in your food processor. Now, if you don't have a food processor, you could use a blender. You could use an old-fashioned Foley food mill, but I think the processor is the best way to go for this. Now, if you have any extra little juices in the pan, you can just scrape them into with a spatula, because you want all that flavor. All right, let's get rid of this. Okay, now I have some vegetable stock. This is the kind I like to use. It has a little more tomato flavor than some of the others, but use whatever you can get. I'm just gonna put a little bit, maybe a half a cup or so, maybe a cup. And that's just gonna help these vegetables break down. Now you wanna process these until they are just really pulverized. We'll give them a few pulses to get them started. Just like that. Simple so far, huh? Now these are nice and pulverized. I'm going to let these sit for a few minutes while I get my soup pot ready to go. All right, now I've got my soup pot all ready. I have a nice big strainer in the top of it. What we want to do is we want to take this mixture and pass it through the strainer into our soup pot, because we don't want all these skins and seeds and things. We really just want the flavor. Now, this may seem like it's going to be a lot and never get through, but it will. Takes a few minutes of patience. All right. So here we are, and we're just going to gently move it around. Try not to overflow it. And what you're doing is you're pushing the liquid out, and you'll leave behind all of the skins and seeds and things. So you're going to have super concentrated tomato flavor. Alrighty, now this has taken me about 5 minutes to push this all through. You can see how packed down it is now. And that's because I pushed almost all of the juices out of it. And actually, as you go on, it gets a little harder because this is getting denser and heavier because there's not much liquid left anymore. So I'm going to lift this out and I'm going to scrape off the bottom. Just get anything extra. Now, what I have in my pot here, I'll lift this up so the camera can see it. Beautiful, concentrated flavor. It's almost soup. Let's add some heat. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to add the rest of this quart of stock. This is the vegetable stock. We're going to add the rest of it. Right in. Easy, easy, easy. Now this is not a creamy, heavy tomato soup, but it's still warming and rich and delicious. Pinch of salt. Pinch of pepper. Finely ground is fine, or whatever you like. And a pinch of sugar. I know, some of you out there are clutching your pearls, but what this does, it's not going to make it sweet, and actually it's going to help the tomatoes taste even more tomatoey. All right, we'll give this a quick stir to mix this in. Now I'm going to put the lid on, I'm going to bring this up to the boil, then we'll add our pasta. All right, this has been a few minutes. Let's see if we're boiling. Yes, we are. So I'm going to add our pasta now. Now I'm using, this is called a tubetti or rigatoni. It's a short one, but it's larger than some of the other pastas. This is just a cup, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's plenty. It's really all you need for this soup. Now, I'm going to let this go. It's going to cook right in the soup. Now, funny story, when I was testing this recipe the other night, I made it with alphabet pasta. I happen to have a box of alphabets. And Phil said to me, "Oh, we have alphabet pasta. Let's have alphabet soup." So it was really fun that we had alphabet soup, except it was too small, and they just sank to the bottom. These bigger pastas are going to be more in the soup than the little bitty alphabets. So we're just going to reduce this to a simmer and let the pasta cook. This pasta will take maybe 10 to 13 minutes or so. Alrighty, here we are. It's been a few minutes. My pasta's cooked. Let's take a look. Ooh, beautiful. And the smell. Now I did taste this for seasoning and it needed a little more pepper. So I added that. It had plenty of salt from the stock and everything else, but it needed a little more heat from the pepper. So now it's our favorite time. I'm just going to dish some out in a bowl. Now you see, this is not a thick soup. It's almost like a consomme, but the flavor is better than anything you'd ever get in a can. Look how glorious. I'm just going to add a little cheese on top. Now, you could serve this for lunch with a nice crusty bread, grilled cheese sandwich, maybe a fancy grilled cheese. You could serve it just as is. So here we go. I'm going to be kind of rude. I'm going to bring this up here. And look at the pasta. There's just enough in there. So let me get some of that too. Wow. Very hot. But that broth, the tomatoes, and the peppers and onion, they've all married together, and it's so intense and warming. Then the pasta is nice. It's not overdone. Took about 7 or 8 minutes to cook, and it's just perfectly cooked. And it adds a little bit of heartiness to this soup. As always, guys, we're going to have this recipe up in the comments section on YouTube, and we'll have links to products that we use that you might like. And remember, follow us on our website and on social media. So as always, you're invited to come on back next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Come on over, come on in, and let's celebrate. Cheers.